in my role at Boingo, I serve as a chief commercial officer. So really exciting job. I love what I do. And my goal is to really bring the promise of 5G and digital transformation to large venues and enterprises worldwide, and really support Boingo's transportation, stadium, commercial real estate, manufacturing, healthcare, and smart city clients that we're going out to serve. So right now I'm leading all aspects of the company's global innovation and growth strategies. I'm directly responsible for sales, carrier relationships, account management, operations, and end-to-end network designs, builds, and deployments across all of the connectivity technologies that we provide: 5G, CBRS, Wi-Fi 6 and 6E, IoT, and private networks. So really exciting gig. I really enjoy what I do, and I've had a very blessed career, and it's awesome to be here at Boingo and to lead the teams that take solutions out and deliver for our customers. If you think about private 5G and specifically for purposes here, we've got two deployments that I could highlight publicly. One is Chicago O'Hare International Airport, and we lead there in really private networks, and we provide all the connectivity for the Chicago airports, but specifically at O'Hare private 5G, we worked with O'Hare International to create a contactless way for airport staff to virtually communicate with travelers seeking really help to navigate the terminal wings. And so our private network was deployed within days to meet that need. And it works right alongside O'Hare's public Wi-Fi and DAS network, as I was talking about. So with the private network there and that being in place, ORD has a secure, reliable private network separate from the airport Wi-Fi and public DAS system that delivers crisp, clear video calls with no interruption. And again, they own the data to that as well. And now that network's there, they have the ability to layer on other use cases. Another deployment that I can talk about, interestingly enough, and not by surprise to many that knows Boingo, we're a company of first. And we were the first to deploy a private network over CBRS for an airport back in 2018. That was Dallas Love Field. And if you think about where we're at today in 2022 and us doing that back in 2018, we were years ahead of the private cellular trend. And we knew it was going to be a game changer for enterprises. And so our deployment there was even before the FCC approved CBRS for commercial use. But we got granted a special temporary authority to conduct the CBRS trial at Dallas Love Field. And they're using that for network operations. So streamlining airport operations for the Love Field's airport team. So again, just a couple of examples of how we were first to deploy a private network leveraging CBRS, and how now we're really leveraging that to help O'Hare and their plans to, again, create that more seamless consumer experience that travelers are looking for nowadays and frankly expect. At Boingo, I mean, we're one of the leading connectivity providers in the world, right? And we're a major player in 5G, and we are we're providing indoor cellular and Wi-Fi networks in the U.S. We're delivering best-in-class connectivity to all the major airports in the U.S. And right now we're a one-stop shop for 5G services for the transportation industry. So we're offering both public and private 5G networks. And we're partnering with tier 1 carriers on the public side to deploy their networks inside of these large transportation venues. We actually recently teamed up with AT&T to deploy their 5G Plus in airports coast to coast, including JFK, New York, and Chicago. So we're working with Verizon and T-Mo to launch their 5G service in airports, in transit stations where Boingo manages the network. And today, public cellular is primarily used for consumer use and powering mobile behaviors like entertainment and productivity applications on the go. But social media, streaming services, email, mobile ticketing, from an operations perspective. So a lot of great traction with 5G and working with our carrier partners to deploy on the public network. And then, as I mentioned, we've got private networks as well. And that's extremely important when you think about the operational aspects of a transportation hub, whether that be an airport or whether that be the MTA or Port Authority. And really looking at having your public networks and then all of the security and the ability to own the data and manage the network on the private side. It's a really important piece of the connectivity puzzle. And if you really think about it, the pandemic has driven a lot of the digital transformation and certainly fast-tracked that across all industries. A recent study indicated that 77% of CEOs have actually accelerated their digital transformation plans. I read another study that actually showed that both enterprises and consumers are adopting digital technology at a 5x rate since the pandemic. So, I think that that whether it's public 5G or private 5G for enterprises, both the enterprise and the consumers have come to expect that now. And certainly with digital transformation and how quickly that's accelerating and the adoption is moving forward, they expect that low latency, that security, and that those touchless experiences in these iconic transportation hubs and airports that we serve, frankly. We have all of the major airports that we provide connectivity to, whether that be JFK, LaGuardia, Newark, Miami, LAX, both Chicago airports. And then we've got some really iconic other customers, if you will, like the MTA in New York.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about MTA's Grand Central Terminal Eastside Access project. It's the perfect example of preparing for the digital future and really modernizing the city's infrastructure. So Eastside Access is an $11 billion project that will provide a direct connection for all of the Long Island Railroad lines to Grand Central and to Midtown East. And it's serving a plan of about 160,000 passengers per day. And, those are all competitive bids. So when you ask the why Boingos, when these things go out to RFP, these types of opportunities that are massive and iconic, everybody bids. And we continue to get selected because of our experience there. And we're designing, deploying, and managing that next generation mobile network to improve operations and the rider experience along that new corridor that's being developed. And right now, that is the largest underground infrastructure project that's been developed in the last 40 years in the United States. And they really had 5 things, going back to outcomes and use cases. They had 5 things they really wanted to accomplish with this advanced connectivity network that we're developing for them. It was trains and train stations to really offer riders fast cell coverage and Wi-Fi service so they can stay connected. And they can stay connected to work and to school and entertainment and everything we're all used to now. And then the second was they wanted the networks to support operational efficiency. So cashless fare collection was one of the big use cases, which will drive an outcome with conductors using wireless ticket issuing machines and have a really reliable and secure network to efficiently sell tickets on. And then onboard diagnostic equipment. So we talk a lot about IoT, the Internet of Things, connected transportation. That's really facilitating that type of connected transportation. These networks will and transmit data about maintenance in real time back to the powers that be that are monitoring that transportation method. And then real-time train arrival status seems really simple, but again, if you think about how accustomed we've come to having real-time information in our hands, the Long Island Railroad has a train time app. So this will actually provide real-time access to consumers, and then you're really laying the network for the foundation of future innovation. So those were the 5 things. And then the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey as another really iconic transportation entity. We're deploying 5G, in New York, really, to make sure that the city remains world-class in the digital era and stays connected. And, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, as I mentioned, we've got JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, and then also an iconic transportation hub like the World Trade Center Oculus. And World Trade Center Oculus is one of those iconic venues that you look at and you see that just stands out. And we're deploying public 5G in partnership with the carriers there, and then Wi-Fi, and then we deploying private 5G as well. We've got LAX, which is one of the busiest airports in the world, right? So we're helping with their digital transformation strategy, and Wi-Fi is a big part of that, and Wi-Fi in the sense of also enabling 5G, right, and allowing consumers to offload on Wi-Fi 6 and 6E devices, and eventually Wi-Fi 7, which will give them a 5G-like experience, right? And then London Heathrow, we're offering Wi-Fi services to passengers in Heathrow Airport. So again, Boingo is an international company, and also in I would I would also mention that in Brazil, we've got 54 airports that we're providing telecommunication services to. So almost every airport across the country, we're providing connectivity in, and eventually that will move towards more of a 5G play as well. So again, major customers in the U.S., tremendous amount of opportunity, both in the U.S. and international, to help deliver 5G and digital transformation strategies to transportation customers. So really exciting time for us, and really exciting time in the industry. We've been doing this for a long time. I mean, if you think about transportation organizations, whether in the public or private sector, plane, trains, or bus, they really need to understand that 5G is a critical component of every company's digital transformation strategy, right? And again, we know wireless and the complexities to really go out and provide 5G networks. I mean, we have been a partner to major transportation authorities and iconic airports and transportation hubs for many years. So we've helped take them from 2G to 3G, 3G to 4G, 4G to 5G. And 5G, frankly, is the first G for the enterprise, right? So now we're finally at a point where we can leverage all of that experience and really help them differentiate in their connectivity strategy. And we're talking a lot about 5G right now, but to be very honest with you, Wi-Fi is still going to be there, and wired connections are still going to be there, right? So private networks is, I think, a strong part of what will be the new converged architecture that will be rolled out for communications purposes, not just to roll out for network purposes, but all of the networks we deploy are focused on driving outcomes. And so that's a really important part of Boingo's strategy and working with customers and partners. We are focused on not just building a secure, scalable network for them and managing that, designing that for them, but also for our customers, making sure that we're driving outcomes that provide value, right? So, I know that we get a tremendous amount of calls on a regular basis, and we're in nonstop conversations. So very competitive with our pricing, with our experiences. And I think we'll continue to do a great job for our customers in years to come, helping them navigate 5G.